The use of mercenary groups or private militaries in war is not a recent phenomenon. In fact, they can trace their origins back as early as the 12th century. In this video, we will explain all of the mercenary groups in the 30 Years' War, why they joined the war, who they fought for, and what became of them after the war. But before we explain each mercenary group, let's briefly explain what caused the 30 Years' War. Ravaging Europe from 1618 to 1648, the 30 Years' War was one of the most destructive conflicts in European history. The war had its roots in the complex political and religious landscape of the Holy Roman Empire. The immediate cause of the conflict was the defenestration of Prague in 1618, where Protestant nobles in Bohemia threw two Catholic officials out of a window in protest against the policies of the Holy Roman Emperor, Ferdinand II. This act of rebellion ignited a larger conflict that quickly spread across Europe. At its core, the 30 Years' War was a struggle between Catholic and Protestant states within the Holy Roman Empire, but it soon drew in many of the great powers of Europe, each with their own motives and interests. On one side were the Catholic forces, led by the Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand II, who sought to restore Catholic dominance in the empire and suppress Protestantism. Supporting him was Spain, under King Philip IV, and the Catholic League, an alliance of Catholic German states led by Maximilian I of Bavaria. Opposing them were the Protestant states, who sought to defend their religious freedoms and political autonomy against imperial centralization. Key figures in this camp included Frederick V of the Palatinate, the Protestant Union, and later the Kingdom of Sweden under King Gustavus Adolphus. The Protestant cause was also supported by France, under Cardinal Richelieu, despite France being a Catholic nation. France's involvement was driven by political, rather than religious motives, aiming to weaken the Habsburgs, the ruling family of both Spain and the Holy Roman Empire, and to strengthen France's position in Europe. The war was characterized by shifting alliances and a series of brutal battles and sieges, leading to widespread devastation, famine, and disease. Mercenary groups played a crucial role in the conflict, as the warring states often lacked sufficient standing armies and relied heavily on hired soldiers to bolster their forces. These mercenaries, drawn from all over Europe, fought for various reasons, including religious conviction, economic necessity, and the promise of plunder. In the following sections, we will delve into the stories of these mercenary groups, exploring their origins, motivations, allegiances, and the roles they played in the 30 Years' War. Each group brought unique skills and tactics to the battlefield, influencing the course of the war and leaving a lasting legacy in European military history. The Landsknechts. The 30 Years' War, which began in 1618, was a time of immense conflict and turmoil in Europe. The Landsknechts, German mercenaries renowned for their formidable pike and shot tactics, played a significant role in this war. These mercenaries, who had a long tradition dating back to the 15th century, were known for their discipline, colorful clothing, and distinctive fighting style. The Landsknechts were often hired by various factions, including both Protestant and Catholic forces, due to their reputation as effective and reliable soldiers. During the 30 Years' War, the Landsknechts were employed by various influential figures such as the Elector of Saxony, John George I, and the Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand II. Their services were also sought by foreign powers like Louis XIII of France and Philip IV of Spain. Their expertise and fierce reputation made them a valuable asset to any army willing to pay their price. They were well equipped with pikes, halberds, and early firearms, making them versatile on the battlefield. Their colorful and flamboyant attire, often adorned with slashes and puffs, made them easily recognizable. Throughout the 30 Years' War, the Landsknechts fought in numerous battles and campaigns. One of their notable early engagements was the Battle of White Mountain in 1620, where they fought for the Catholic League under the command of Count Tilly against the Protestant forces of Frederick V. This decisive Catholic victory marked the beginning of a series of defeats for the Protestant side. The Landsknechts' disciplined formations and aggressive tactics were instrumental in securing the victory, showcasing their ability to turn the tide of battle through sheer force and organization. In the Battle of White Mountain, the Landsknechts were deployed on the flanks of the Catholic forces. Their role was crucial in maintaining the line against the Protestant assault. The battle began with a heavy artillery exchange, but the turning point came when the Landsknechts, using their renowned pike and shot tactics, held firm against repeated cavalry charges by the Protestant forces. Their steadfastness and discipline under fire allowed the Catholic forces to regroup and launch a decisive counterattack. The Protestant army, caught off guard and demoralized by the Landsknechts' resistance, ultimately broke ranks and fled, leading to a comprehensive Catholic victory. This victory not only demonstrated the tactical effectiveness of the Landsknechts, but also significantly boosted the morale of the Catholic League. As the war progressed, the Landsknechts found themselves engaged in several other significant battles. One such battle was the Battle of Breitenfeld in 1631, where they fought under the command of the Catholic League's General Tilly against the Swedish forces led by King Gustavus Adolphus. The battle was a critical engagement, as it marked the first major Protestant victory in the war. Despite their reputation and formidable fighting skills, the Landsknechts were outmaneuvered by the innovative tactics of the Swedish king. Gustavus Adolphus employed flexible artillery and combined arms tactics, which disrupted the traditional pike and shot formations of the Landsknechts. The defeat at Breitenfeld was a significant blow to the Catholic forces, highlighting the evolving nature of warfare and the need for adaptation. The Landsknechts also played a crucial role in the siege of Magdeburg in 1631, a brutal and bloody conflict that resulted in the city's sacking and the massacre of many of its inhabitants. Commanded by Count Tilly, the Catholic forces, including Landsknecht units, laid siege to the Protestant stronghold. The city was eventually stormed, leading to widespread destruction and the massacre of inhabitants. The Landsknechts were heavily involved in the assault, and their role in the sack of Magdeburg became infamous for the scale of violence and looting that occurred. This siege underscored the harsh realities of mercenary life, where delayed or insufficient wages often led to looting as a means of compensation. The successful siege, despite its brutality, showcased the Landsknechts' effectiveness in siege warfare, but it also cemented their fearsome and ruthless reputation. The Battle of Lutzen in 1632 was another significant engagement involving the Landsknechts. This battle saw the forces of the Swedish king Gustavus Adolphus clash with the imperial army under Albrecht von Wallenstein. The Landsknechts, fighting for the Catholic side, faced a well-coordinated and determined enemy. The battle was hard fought, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Although the Protestant forces managed to kill Gustavus Adolphus, the battle itself ended inconclusively, with no clear victor. The Landsknechts' role in the battle was notable for their resilience and tenacity, fighting tenaciously in the face of fierce opposition and contributing to the high casualties on both sides. Notable leaders among the Landsknechts during the 30 Years' War included commanders who led their units with distinction in key battles. One such leader was Peter Ernst II von Mansfeld, a notable mercenary leader who, although primarily known for his Protestant allegiance, employed Landsknecht forces in several key engagements. His military prowess was evident in various battles, including his efforts in the early phases of the 30 Years' War, where his tactical acumen and leadership were critical. Georg von Fronsberg, often called the father of the Landsknechts, was another influential figure. Although he had established his reputation earlier, his legacy influenced many mercenary leaders during the 30 Years' War. His innovations in training and tactics, especially in the use of pike and shot formations, set a standard for mercenary forces. The Diary of Peter Hagendorf, a Landsknecht who documented his experiences, provides a vivid account of their lives during the 30 Years' War. Hagendorf's writings reveal the daily struggles and the chaotic nature of mercenary life. His accounts of battles, sieges, and the constant movement across Europe offer a personal glimpse into the harsh realities faced by these soldiers. His story is a poignant reminder of the human cost of war and the transient existence of mercenaries who risked everything for a promise of payment and a chance at survival. By the end of the 30 Years' War, the legacy of the Landsknechts was firmly established in the annals of military history. Their role in the conflict showcased their strategic importance and highlighted the challenges faced by mercenary armies during prolonged conflicts. Their colorful presence on the battlefield, combined with their fierce combat skills, left an indelible mark on the war. As European powers moved towards more professional and permanent military structures, the era of the Landsknechts came to a close, but their influence on military tactics and mercenary traditions endured. Scots Brigades. The Scots Brigades were deeply involved in the 30 Years' War, motivated by a combination of religious, economic, and political factors. Scotland and the Scots were heavily entangled in both the diplomatic and military events centred on the Holy Roman Empire. Among these, the fate of the Scottish Princess Elizabeth of Bohemia, daughter of King James VI and first who we have a video about, proved to be a key concern. Up to 50,000 Scottish troops arrived on the continent, having been levied on warrants issued by the Privy Council and countersigned by their king, usually at periods corresponding to the participation of a particular ally in a campaign against the Habsburgs. Many Scots saw the war as an opportunity to fight for the Protestant cause, while others were driven by the promise of steady pay and the chance for adventure. Leaders like Alexander Leslie and Robert Monro were prominent figures who guided these troops through various significant battles and campaigns. Initially, the Scots Brigades served in established units in the Dutch Republic and Sweden, which had existed before 1618. Later, specially commissioned army groups were also created in Denmark, Norway, and France to facilitate further Scottish participation. Some fought for better prospects, some for kin loyalty, others for dynastic and confessional considerations. A few, the minority, were plain mercenaries. The Scots Brigades primarily supported Protestant forces during the 30 Years' War. They were particularly active in the armies of Sweden and the Dutch Republic, both of which were major Protestant powers fighting against the Catholic Habsburgs and their allies. The Scottish soldiers brought with them a reputation for bravery and martial prowess, honed by their experiences in previous conflicts, including the Wars of the Three Kingdoms in Britain. Prominent leaders included Colonel Robert Henderson and Alexander Leslie, who later became a field marshal and played a crucial role in various campaigns. The Scots Brigades made one of their early significant contributions to the 30 Years' War during the Battle of Breitenfeld in 1631. This battle was a major victory for the Protestant forces led by King Gustavus Adolphus of Sweden, and the Scots Brigades were instrumental in achieving this success. The Battle of Breitenfeld took place on September 17, 1631, near Leipzig in Saxony. It was one of the first major battles in the 30 Years' War that saw the Protestant forces, under the strategic command of Gustavus Adolphus, decisively defeat the Catholic Imperial Army led by Count Tilly. The Scots Brigades, with their disciplined formations and fighting spirit, played a crucial role in the outcome of this battle. The Scots Brigades were positioned on the right flank of the Swedish army. Under the command of experienced leaders like James Ramsay and Robert Monro, they were tasked with holding the line against the Imperial forces' initial assault. The discipline and resilience of the Scots were put to the test as they faced heavy artillery and repeated infantry attacks from the Imperial army. As the battle progressed, the Scots Brigades demonstrated exceptional tactical prowess. When the Imperial forces launched a fierce attack on the Swedish right flank, the Scots held their ground and counterattacked with precision. Their use of pike and shot tactics, honed through years of experience in various conflicts, proved highly effective in breaking the Imperial lines. The Scots pikemen engaged the Imperial infantry in close combat, while their musketeers provided devastating volleys of gunfire, creating chaos and confusion among the enemy ranks. The turning point of the battle came when Gustavus Adolphus, recognizing the steadfastness of his right flank, ordered a coordinated counteroffensive. The Scots Brigades advanced alongside Swedish cavalry units, executing a well-timed flanking maneuver that caught the Imperial forces off guard. This decisive action disrupted the Imperial formations and led to a general rout of their army. Leaders like James Ramsay and Robert Monro were instrumental in these engagements. Ramsay, known for his strategic acumen, played a key role in organizing the defense and subsequent counterattack of the right flank. Robert Monro, with his extensive battlefield experience, provided critical leadership that maintained the morale and discipline of the Scots Brigades throughout the intense combat. Monro's later writings vividly document the experiences of the Scottish soldiers at Breitenfeld, offering valuable insights into their contribution to the victory. The Scots Brigade's performance at the Battle of Breitenfeld cemented their reputation as formidable warriors and reliable allies. Their ability to hold the line under intense pressure and then turn the tide of battle with a coordinated counteroffensive showcased their combat skills and strategic importance to the Protestant cause. This victory not only boosted the morale of the Protestant forces, but also demonstrated the effectiveness of combined arms tactics, which would be employed in subsequent battles throughout the war. The success at Breitenfeld had far-reaching consequences. It marked the first significant defeat of the Catholic Imperial Army and shifted the balance of power in favor of the Protestant alliance. The victory also enhanced the prestige of Gustavus Adolphus and solidified his leadership within the Protestant coalition. The Scots Brigades, through their exemplary performance, contributed significantly to this pivotal moment in the 30 Years' War, underscoring their critical role in the broader conflict. Throughout the war, the Scots Brigades continued to fight in numerous battles and campaigns. They were involved in the Battle of Lutzen in 1632, where King Gustavus Adolphus was killed. Despite the king's death, the Swedish and Scottish forces managed to hold the field, demonstrating their resilience and determination. The Scots Brigade's involvement in such key battles underscored their importance to the Protestant military efforts. Notable commanders like Sir James Lumsden and David Leslie, who later became Lord Newark, contributed significantly to these efforts, demonstrating leadership and tactical brilliance. The Scots Brigades faced significant challenges during the protracted conflict. Like many other mercenary groups, they dealt with harsh conditions, disease, and inconsistent pay. Despite these hardships, they remained committed to their cause and continued to fight valiantly. The Scottish soldiers' adaptability and fighting skills made them valuable assets to their employers, and they often found themselves in the thick of the action. Leaders like Donald Mackay, Lord Reay, and Robert Munro of Foulys were pivotal in maintaining morale and discipline among the troops. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Scots Brigades had experienced heavy losses. Many soldiers had died in battle or from disease, and the survivors often returned to Scotland with little to show for their efforts. The Peace of Westphalia brought an end to the conflict, and the Scots Brigades were disbanded. However, their contributions had a profound impact on the course of the war. Alexander Leslie's leadership, for instance, was instrumental in several key victories, and his career continued to influence military tactics long after the war. The experiences of Scottish soldiers during this period were later documented by figures like Robert Munro, whose writings provided valuable insights into the life of a mercenary. These accounts helped shape the historical narrative of the 30 Years' War, highlighting the bravery and sacrifices of the Scots Brigades. The legacy of the Scots Brigades is a testament to their critical role in the 30 Years' War. Their strategic importance, combined with their resilience and combat prowess, left a lasting mark on European military history. The leadership of figures like Alexander Leslie and Robert Munro continued to be studied and respected, influencing military practices and strategies in the years that followed. Despite the hardships they faced, the Scots Brigade's dedication to their cause and their ability to overcome adversity ensured that their contributions would be remembered for generations. German Free Companies. The German Free Companies were independent mercenary bands composed of soldiers from various German states that played a significant role in the 30 Years' War. These versatile and adaptable mercenaries were motivated by economic necessity and the opportunity to gain wealth through plunder. They were known for their willingness to fight for the highest bidder, whether Protestant or Catholic. The German Free Companies were recruited by both Protestant and Catholic forces during the war. Their loyalty was often determined by who could offer them the best pay and conditions. The mercenaries from the Free Companies were experienced soldiers, many of whom had fought in previous conflicts. Their presence on the battlefield added a diverse and unpredictable element to the war, as they could switch sides depending on the circumstances. One of the notable contributions of the German Free Companies was their participation in the Battle of White Mountain in 1620. Fighting for the Catholic League, the Free Companies played a crucial role in the decisive victory over the Protestant forces of Frederick V. Their disciplined formations and aggressive tactics were instrumental in securing the Catholic victory, which marked a turning point in the war. At the Battle of White Mountain, the German Free Companies, alongside other Catholic forces, faced a diverse Protestant army primarily composed of Bohemians, Moravians, and Silesians, supported by Hungarian cavalry. The battle took place near Prague on November 8, 1620, and was pivotal in the early stages of the 30 Years' War. The Free Companies were deployed strategically by the Catholic commander, Johann Tsercles, Count of Tilly, who positioned them on the flanks of the main Catholic line. This positioning allowed them to utilize their experience and tactical flexibility to execute flanking maneuvers and harass the Protestant forces. The disciplined infantry of the Free Companies formed tight pike and shot formations that were highly effective in close combat. They were crucial in repelling the initial Protestant cavalry charges and preventing the Protestant forces from outflanking the Catholic positions. As the battle progressed, the German Free Companies played a key role in the Catholic counterattack. Their aggressive tactics and cohesive unit formations helped to break the Protestant lines. The Free Companies' infantry advanced steadily, supported by coordinated volleys of musket fire and the disciplined use of pikes to fend off cavalry assaults. This methodical advance created significant pressure on the Protestant centre and right flanks, contributing to the eventual rout of the Protestant forces. The effectiveness of the Free Companies' tactics was further amplified by the terrain of the battlefield. The White Mountains slopes provided a defensive advantage that the Free Companies exploited to their benefit. They used the elevated positions to deliver devastating volleys of musket fire into the advancing Protestant troops, causing disarray and weakening the enemy's resolve. The German Free Companies' involvement in the Battle of White Mountain demonstrated their importance to the Catholic military efforts. Their ability to maintain discipline and execute complex battlefield maneuvers under the pressure of combat was instrumental in securing a decisive victory. This victory at White Mountain had far-reaching consequences, solidifying Habsburg control over Bohemia and significantly altering the balance of power in Central Europe. The aftermath of the battle saw the Protestant cause in Bohemia significantly weakened. The Catholic victory led to a brutal retribution against the Bohemian rebels, with many Protestant leaders executed or exiled, and their properties confiscated. This crushing defeat marked the end of Bohemian resistance and allowed the Habsburgs to impose strict Catholic control over the region, further centralizing their power within the Holy Roman Empire. The success of the German Free Companies at White Mountain underscored the strategic value of well-disciplined mercenary forces in early modern warfare. Their contributions to the Catholic victory at White Mountain set the stage for their continued involvement in key battles throughout the 30 Years' War, further solidifying their legacy as formidable and adaptable soldiers. Throughout the war, the German Free Companies continued to fight in numerous battles and campaigns. They were involved in the Siege of Magdeburg in 1631, where their expertise in siege tactics contributed to the city's eventual fall. The Free Company's skills in constructing fortifications and conducting siege operations made them valuable assets to both Protestant and Catholic forces. Their ability to adapt to different combat situations and their resilience in the face of adversity ensured their continued presence in the conflict. A prominent figure was Peter Hagendorf, a German mercenary whose detailed wartime diary provides a unique historical record of life in the mercenary ranks. Hagendorf's writings offer insights into the daily struggles, motivations, and experiences of mercenaries, illustrating the harsh realities of their lives and their professional dedication to fighting as long as they were paid. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the German Free Companies had suffered heavy losses. Many soldiers had died in battle or from disease, and those who survived often returned to their homeland with little to show for their efforts. The Peace of Westphalia marked the end of the conflict and a shift in European warfare towards professional standing armies, which began to eclipse the role of mercenaries. Despite the decline of their influence, the German Free Company's contributions to the war left a lasting legacy. Their expertise in military tactics and their bravery in battle continued to influence European military traditions for years to come. Pappenheim's Cuirassiers. Gottfried Heinrich Graf zu Pappenheim's Cuirassiers were one of the most formidable cavalry units during the 30 Years' War. Known for their distinctive armor and heavy cavalry tactics, the Cuirassiers were pivotal in many battles. Pappenheim, a prominent commander in the Catholic League's army, led these elite troops with a combination of tactical brilliance and relentless aggression. The Cuirassiers were heavily armoured cavalry, equipped with pistols, swords, and the cuirass, a piece of armour covering the torso. Their main strategy involved charging enemy lines to break formations and create chaos, exploiting gaps with brutal efficiency. Pappenheim's leadership enhanced their effectiveness, making them a fearsome force on the battlefield. Pappenheim's Cuirassiers were deeply involved in several significant battles throughout the 30 Years' War. One of their notable engagements was the Battle of White Mountain in 1620, where they played a crucial role in the decisive victory over the Protestant forces of Frederick V. Their disciplined charge and combat skills contributed significantly to the Catholic League's success in this battle. The Cuirassiers' aggressive tactics, including their ability to sustain charges and their effectiveness in close combat, helped to shatter the Protestant lines, leading to a comprehensive victory for the Catholic League. The Cuirassiers also made a significant impact at the Battle of Lutzen in 1632, one of the war's most critical confrontations. Pappenheim's troops were instrumental in the early stages of the battle, leading several aggressive charges against the Swedish forces led by King Gustavus Adolphus. Despite being mortally wounded in this battle, Pappenheim's leadership and the fierce reputation of his Cuirassiers left a lasting impression on both allies and enemies. The Cuirassiers' ability to launch successive charges and their resilience in the face of heavy musket and artillery fire were crucial in maintaining the Catholic League's pressure on the Swedish forces. The Battle of Lutzen, fought on November 16, 1632, was one of the pivotal battles of the 30 Years' War. The Swedish army, led by King Gustavus Adolphus, faced the imperial forces commanded by Albrecht von Wallenstein, with Pappenheim's Cuirassiers playing a critical role. The battle was marked by intense fighting, high casualties, and the eventual death of King Gustavus Adolphus. In the early stages of the battle, Pappenheim's Cuirassiers were ordered to launch aggressive charges against the Swedish lines. These charges were designed to disrupt the Swedish formations and create opportunities for the imperial infantry to advance. Pappenheim, known for his bold and daring tactics, personally led his troops into the fray. His presence on the battlefield was a significant morale booster for his men and a source of concern for the Swedish forces, who were well aware of his reputation as a formidable cavalry commander. Pappenheim's Cuirassiers executed several charges, each time pushing deeper into the Swedish lines. Their heavy armor and disciplined formations allowed them to withstand the initial volleys of musket fire, while their close-quarters combat skills proved deadly against the less heavily armored Swedish soldiers. However, the intensity of the battle and the fierce resistance of the Swedish troops meant that these charges were costly. During one of these aggressive maneuvers, Pappenheim was struck by a cannonball, which severely wounded him. Despite his grievous injuries, he refused to leave the battlefield immediately, demonstrating his unwavering commitment and leadership. His determination to stay and fight, even while mortally wounded, inspired his troops to continue their assault with renewed vigor. Eventually, Pappenheim was carried off the battlefield, but his condition deteriorated rapidly, and he succumbed to his wounds later that day. The loss of Pappenheim was a significant blow to the imperial forces. His leadership and tactical acumen had been instrumental in many of their previous victories, and his death left a void that was difficult to fill. Nevertheless, the fierce reputation of his Cuirassiers, bolstered by their relentless charges at Lutzen, ensured that their legacy would endure. The battle itself ended inconclusively, with heavy casualties on both sides and no decisive victor. But the impact of Pappenheim and his Cuirassiers was undeniable. The Cuirassiers' ability to launch successive charges and their resilience in the face of heavy musket and artillery fire were crucial in maintaining the Catholic League's pressure on the Swedish forces. Their actions at Lutzen exemplified the effectiveness of well-led heavy cavalry in early modern warfare, and their contributions to the battle highlighted the importance of discipline, armor, and close combat skills in achieving battlefield success. Gottfried Heinrich Graf zu Pappenheim's leadership and the aggressive tactics of his Cuirassiers were pivotal in the Battle of Lutzen. Despite his mortal wounds, Pappenheim's determination and the Cuirassiers' ferocity left a lasting impression on the course of the battle, demonstrating the crucial role of heavy cavalry in the 30 Years' War. Throughout the war, despite hardships, their morale and effectiveness remained high, largely due to Pappenheim's inspiring leadership and the unit's strong sense of camaraderie and discipline. The Cuirassiers' rigorous training, coupled with Pappenheim's ability to inspire loyalty and courage, ensured that they remained an elite fighting force throughout the conflict. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Cuirassiers had endured significant losses. Many soldiers died in battle or from disease, while others were permanently scarred by the conflict. The Peace of Westphalia marked the end of the war and brought changes to the military structures in Europe, leading to a decline in the traditional role of heavily armoured cavalry units like the Cuirassiers. Nevertheless, the legacy of Pappenheim's Cuirassiers persisted, influencing cavalry tactics and military traditions in the years to come. Their reputation for bravery, discipline, and combat effectiveness continued to be remembered long after the war ended. The contributions of Pappenheim's Cuirassiers highlighted the importance of well-led and well-equipped cavalry units in early modern warfare. Their ability to deliver powerful charges, disrupt enemy formations, and engage in close-quarters combat made them a versatile and formidable component of the Catholic League's military forces. The experiences and successes of the Cuirassiers under Pappenheim's command provided valuable lessons for future generations of cavalry officers and helped shape the evolution of cavalry tactics in European military history. Wallenstein's army. Wallenstein's army was one of the most significant and formidable forces during the 30 Years' War. Led by Albrecht von Wallenstein, a brilliant and ambitious military commander, the army played a crucial role in the Catholic League's efforts to dominate the Protestant factions. Wallenstein, a Bohemian noble, raised and commanded this private army on behalf of the Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand II. Wallenstein's approach to army formation was revolutionary for its time. He created a standing army that was professional and well organized, with soldiers drawn from various European regions. His recruitment strategy involved offering high pay and promising plunder, which attracted a diverse array of soldiers, including seasoned veterans and desperate mercenaries. The army was composed of various military units, including infantry, cavalry, and artillery, making it a versatile and powerful force. Some of Wallenstein and his army's key battles and campaigns in the 30 Years' War include the Battle of Dessau Bridge, the Battle of Lutzen, and the Siege of Stralsund. In the Battle of Dessau Bridge, 1626, one of the early significant engagements of Wallenstein's army was the Battle of Dessau Bridge. Albrecht von Wallenstein's role in the Battle of Dessau Bridge in 1626 exemplifies his military acumen and strategic foresight, which significantly contributed to the Catholic League's efforts during the 30 Years' War. This battle was a crucial encounter between Wallenstein's imperial forces and the Protestant army led by Ernst von Mansfeld, a seasoned military leader and one of the most persistent adversaries of the Catholic League. In early 1626, Mansfeld attempted to cross the Elbe River at Dessau Bridge with the aim of invading the Habsburg lands and securing a stronghold in the Catholic territories. This move was part of a broader strategy to disrupt the imperial forces and gain a strategic advantage. Wallenstein, anticipating Mansfeld's intentions, swiftly moved his troops to intercept the Protestant army. Wallenstein's strategic placement of his forces was critical in the ensuing battle. He fortified the bridgehead at Dessau with a combination of infantry, cavalry, and artillery, creating a formidable defensive position that exploited the natural bottleneck of the river crossing. This positioning not only hindered Mansfeld's ability to maneuver, but also maximized the impact of Wallenstein's firepower on the advancing Protestant troops. As Mansfeld's forces approached, Wallenstein orchestrated a series of tactical maneuvers to exploit the Protestant army's vulnerabilities. His artillery opened the engagement, bombarding the Protestant lines and causing significant disruption and casualties. Wallenstein's infantry, entrenched in well-prepared defensive positions, repelled multiple attempts by Mansfeld's troops to cross the bridge, inflicting heavy losses. Wallenstein demonstrated his tactical brilliance by using his cavalry effectively to launch counterattacks against the Protestant flanks. These cavalry charges were timed precisely to exploit moments of weakness and disarray in Mansfeld's formations. The combination of disciplined infantry, effective artillery deployment, and timely cavalry assaults overwhelmed the Protestant forces, preventing them from establishing a foothold on the other side of the river. The Battle of Dessau Bridge showcased Wallenstein's superior organizational skills and his ability to command a well-coordinated, multifaceted military force. His understanding of terrain, effective use of artillery, and the integration of different arms of his military highlighted his innovative approach to warfare. The decisive defeat inflicted on Mansfeld's army at Dessau not only halted the Protestant advance, but also demonstrated the effectiveness of Wallenstein's command, bolstering his reputation as a formidable military leader. Wallenstein's victory at Dessau Bridge had significant strategic implications. It secured the Elbe River as a defensive barrier for the imperial forces, preventing further incursions by Protestant armies into the Habsburg heartlands. This battle also marked a turning point in the campaign, as it diminished the operational capabilities of Mansfeld's forces and strengthened Wallenstein's position within the Catholic League. The aftermath of the Battle of Dessau Bridge solidified Wallenstein's standing among his contemporaries. His success in this engagement was a testament to his strategic vision and tactical prowess, which continued to influence the conduct of the war. Wallenstein's ability to deliver decisive victories in key battles like Dessau Bridge played a crucial role in shaping the course of the 30 Years' War and exemplified the military innovations that characterized his career. Albrecht von Wallenstein's role in the Siege of Stralsund in 1628 is a compelling example of his military ambition, strategic foresight, and the challenges he faced. This siege was part of Wallenstein's grand strategy to secure control over key Baltic territories, which were of immense strategic and economic importance due to their access to the sea and their role in regional trade networks. Wallenstein, already distinguished for his prior military successes and the formidable reputation of his army, saw the capture of Stralsund as essential for consolidating imperial control in northern Germany. Stralsund was a significant Hanseatic city with strong fortifications and deep Protestant sympathies, allied with King Christian IV of Denmark, who was a major adversary of the Habsburgs. The city's strategic location made it a crucial objective for Wallenstein, who aimed to use it as a base for further operations in the Baltic region. The siege commenced in earnest in May 1628, with Wallenstein deploying a substantial portion of his forces to encircle and isolate Stralsund. He meticulously planned and implemented a series of siege works, including trenches, batteries, and fortifications, intending to force a quick capitulation. Wallenstein's forces conducted relentless artillery bombardments and multiple infantry assaults to breach the city's formidable defenses. Despite Wallenstein's meticulous planning and the sheer scale of his military efforts, the defenders of Stralsund, bolstered by their determination and the prospect of external support, mounted a tenacious resistance. The city's defenses were among the most advanced in northern Europe, featuring robust walls and well-placed artillery that effectively repelled numerous attacks. Additionally, the defenders received critical reinforcements and supplies from Denmark and Sweden, whose fleets ensured that Stralsund remained well supplied and reinforced by sea. King Christian IV of Denmark played a pivotal role in the defense, providing troops, artillery, and logistical support to the besieged city. The arrival of Swedish forces, led by Gustavus Adolphus, further bolstered Stralsund's defenses and morale. These reinforcements were instrumental in thwarting Wallenstein's attempts to force a surrender, as they brought additional manpower and resources to counter the imperial siege tactics. The harsh weather and difficult terrain around Stralsund also posed significant challenges for Wallenstein's forces. The marshy ground made it difficult to maintain supply lines and construct effective siege works. Moreover, the prolonged nature of the siege strained the morale and resources of Wallenstein's troops, who faced disease, supply shortages, and the constant threat of counterattacks from the defenders. Wallenstein's determination to capture Stralsund ultimately proved futile. After several months of intense fighting, it became clear that the city's defenses were too formidable and the external support too robust for his forces to overcome. In August 1628, Wallenstein was forced to lift the siege and withdraw his troops, marking a significant setback in his military campaign. The failure to capture Stralsund was one of the few notable defeats in Wallenstein's career and underscored the challenges of besieging a well-fortified and resolutely defended city. The Siege of Stralsund demonstrated both Wallenstein's strategic vision and the limitations of even the most well-equipped and led armies when faced with determined opposition and robust fortifications. It also highlighted the importance of naval power and external alliances in sustaining a city's defense during a protracted siege. Despite this failure, Wallenstein's overall impact on the 30 Years' War remained profound, and his innovations in military organization and logistics continued to influence European warfare long after the conflict ended. However, despite all this success, Wallenstein's growing power and influence eventually made him a target of political intrigue. His ambitious nature and independent command style raised suspicions among the imperial court and other Catholic leaders. As Wallenstein's victories and influence increased, so did his autonomy, which caused significant unease among the Habsburgs and other Catholic leaders who feared his growing power. Wallenstein's methods and his perceived ambition to act independently of the emperor bred mistrust. His ability to raise and maintain a powerful and loyal private army, his negotiating independently with Protestant forces, and his suspected ambitions to create a state of his own or shift his loyalties alarmed the Habsburg establishment. By 1634, the tension had reached a boiling point. Wallenstein was accused of negotiating with the enemy, an act seen as treasonous. This accusation was likely fueled by a mix of genuine suspicion and political maneuvering by his rivals who saw an opportunity to eliminate a powerful competitor. Emperor Ferdinand II, influenced by these accusations and pressured by other Catholic leaders, decided that Wallenstein had to be removed to secure the stability and loyalty of the Catholic forces. Wallenstein, aware of the danger, but still trusting in his power and influence, continued to operate with his army in Bohemia. However, the decision had already been made. Ferdinand II signed a secret order for Wallenstein's arrest, which also authorized his assassination if he resisted. On February 25, 1634, Wallenstein was betrayed by his own officers and assassinated in Eger, now Cheb, Czech Republic, by a group of Irish and Scottish officers led by Walter de Veru. Despite his death, Wallenstein's military strategies and organizational innovations left a lasting impact on European warfare. His methods of recruiting and maintaining a standing army, his logistical innovations, and his ability to create a versatile and powerful military force continued to influence military leaders long after his death. Wallenstein's legacy includes the professionalization of armies and the development of military logistics that would become standard in European military practices. His emphasis on creating a loyal, well-paid, and well-organized army set new standards for military efficiency and effectiveness. Even after his assassination, the structural and strategic changes he implemented persisted, shaping the future of European military operations and highlighting the enduring influence of his leadership and innovations in the art of war. The Hessian Mercenaries. The Hessian Mercenaries were a prominent force, embroiled in a civil war. They were distinguished by their strategic alliances and contributions to various factions. The region of Hesse, divided into the Hesse-Kassel and the Hesse-Darmstadt, saw its two principalities taking different sides in the conflict. Calvinist Hesse-Kassel, under the leadership of Landgrave William V, aligned itself with Protestant Sweden and Catholic France. This alliance was driven by the shared goal of weakening Habsburg dominance and ensuring the survival and spread of Protestantism in the Holy Roman Empire. Hesse-Kassel's forces were well regarded for their discipline and effectiveness in battle, providing crucial support in key engagements alongside their Swedish and French allies. Despite its Lutheran beliefs, Hesse-Darmstadt sided with the emperor. The principality's alignment with the Catholic Habsburgs was influenced by political and territorial considerations. Hesse-Darmstadt sought to protect its interests and maintain its status within the empire by supporting the imperial cause. This decision highlighted the complex nature of allegiances during the 30 Years' War, where religious affiliations were sometimes secondary to political and strategic goals. Hesse-Kassel's forces played a significant role in the Battle of Lutter in 1626, where they fought alongside the Protestant forces against the Catholic League. The battle was a pivotal moment in the early phase of the 30 Years' War. The Protestant army, led by King Christian Roman IV of Denmark, aimed to halt the advance of the Catholic forces commanded by Johann Tsercles, Count of Tilly. The Hessian troops, under the leadership of Landgrave William V, were integral to the Protestant effort, demonstrating their commitment to the Protestant cause despite the risks involved. The Battle of Lutter was fought on August 27, 1626, near Lutter and Barenberg in present-day Germany. The Protestant forces were numerically inferior and less organized compared to the well-disciplined Catholic army. Despite these disadvantages, the Hessian Mercenaries displayed notable bravery and tactical skill. They were positioned to defend critical points of the Protestant line, utilizing their expertise in pike and shot formations to repel multiple assaults by the Catholic cavalry and infantry. The battle initially saw fierce fighting, with the Hessians managing to hold their ground against the Catholic onslaught. However, as the battle progressed, the numerical superiority and better coordination of Tilly's forces began to take their toll. The Hessian troops, despite their valiant efforts, were unable to withstand the sustained pressure. The Protestant forces ultimately suffered a devastating defeat, with significant losses in men and material. Although the Battle of Lutter resulted in a defeat for the Protestant side, the involvement of the Hessian troops was a testament to their dedication and willingness to engage in significant military actions for the Protestant cause. This engagement highlighted the strategic importance of Hesse-Castle's alliance with other Protestant powers and set the stage for future collaborations. The alliance with Sweden saw Hessian troops participating in numerous campaigns alongside the Swedish army. Their contributions were vital in battles such as the Battle of Breitenfeld in 1631 and the Battle of Lutzen in 1632. The disciplined formations and effective tactics of the Hessian mercenaries complemented the Swedish military strategies, enhancing the overall effectiveness of the Protestant forces. At Breitenfeld, the Hessians' coordination with Swedish forces helped secure a decisive victory that shifted the war's momentum. At Lutzen, their resilience and tactical acumen were crucial in a hard-fought battle that saw the death of King Gustavus Adolphus, but maintained the Protestant coalition's strength. Through these battles, the Hessian mercenaries proved to be a versatile and reliable component of the Protestant military efforts, their disciplined approach and tactical effectiveness contributing significantly to the broader strategic objectives of the 30 Years' War. The differing allegiances of Hesse-Kassel and Hesse-Darmstadt occasionally led to internal conflicts and skirmishes between the two Hessian principalities. These internal disputes further complicated the already tumultuous landscape of the 30 Years' War, adding another layer of complexity to the conflict. The Hessian mercenaries faced numerous challenges during the war, including maintaining discipline, managing supply lines, and adapting to the shifting dynamics of the conflict. Both Hesse-Kassel and Hesse-Darmstadt had to navigate the difficulties of sustaining their military efforts amidst the broader chaos of the 30 Years' War. The internal strife in Hesse reached its peak in the 1620s when the line of Hesse-Marburg became extinct, leading to an escalation that culminated in the Hessian War proper after 1645. Open warfare began with the Siege of Marburg in 1645 and concluded in April 1648, shortly before the Treaty of Westphalia formally ended the 30 Years' War. The outcome was a victory for Hesse-Kassel, which subsequently gained additional territories from Upper Hesse, strengthening its position significantly. Hessian mercenaries, with their divided allegiances and notable contributions, played a critical role in the 30 Years' War for both sides. Their involvement underscored the complex interplay of religious, political, and economic factors that characterized the conflict, leaving a lasting mark on the history of European warfare. Bernhard of Saxe-Weimar's army. Bernhard of Saxe-Weimar, a prominent German military leader, played a significant role in the 30 Years' War through his command of an effective and versatile army. His forces, known for their discipline and innovative tactics, made substantial contributions to the Protestant cause. Bernhard began his military career in the service of the Swedish king, Gustavus Adolphus. After Gustavus Adolphus's death at the Battle of Lutzen in 1632, Bernhard continued to lead Swedish forces before eventually forming his own army. Motivated by a mix of religious conviction, personal ambition, and the desire for political power, Bernhard sought to secure a principality for himself within the fragmented Holy Roman Empire. One of Bernhard's notable engagements was the Battle of Nördlingen in 1634. This battle was crucial in the 30 Years' War and marked a turning point for the Protestant forces. Bernhard's army, alongside the Swedish forces, faced a formidable combined force of Imperial and Spanish troops. The battle took place on September 5th and 6th, 1634, near the town of Nördlingen in southern Germany. The Protestant forces, commanded by Bernhard and Swedish General Gustav Horn, were initially confident. They aimed to lift the siege of Nördlingen, which was under attack by the Imperial Spanish army led by Ferdinand of Hungary and Cardinal Infant Ferdinand of Austria. The Protestant commanders planned to strike quickly to break the siege and relieve the town. On the first day of the battle, Bernhard's troops launched several aggressive assaults on the Imperial Spanish positions. However, the terrain proved challenging, with steep hills and dense forests hindering their maneuvers. Despite initial successes, the Protestant forces struggled to maintain their momentum. The Imperial Spanish troops, well entrenched and benefiting from superior artillery positions, repelled the attacks with disciplined volleys and countercharges. Bernhard's army faced intense resistance, particularly from the elite Spanish infantry known as the Tercios. These seasoned soldiers, known for their rigid formations and effective use of combined arms, played a critical role in blunting the Protestant offensives. The Protestant cavalry, a key component of Bernhard's strategy, also faced difficulties in coordinating their attacks on the uneven terrain. As the battle wore on, the Protestant forces became increasingly disorganized. The Imperial commanders seized the opportunity to launch a counteroffensive on the second day. They focused their attacks on the weaker sections of the Protestant line, creating breaches and sowing chaos. Bernhard and Horn attempted to rally their troops, but the sustained pressure from the Imperial Spanish forces proved overwhelming. The turning point came when the Protestant left flank collapsed under a concentrated assault. The disciplined Imperial Spanish infantry broke through, causing panic and a general retreat among the Protestant ranks. Bernhard's efforts to regroup his forces were in vain, as the Imperial cavalry exploited the disarray to devastating effect. The Battle of Nördlingen ended in a catastrophic defeat for the Protestant forces. Bernhard's army suffered heavy casualties, with thousands killed or captured. The Swedish General Gustav Horn was taken prisoner, further demoralizing the Protestant troops. The defeat at Nördlingen had far-reaching consequences, severely weakening the Protestant military position in southern Germany and shifting the balance of power in favor of the Catholic forces. Despite this setback, Bernhard's resilience and strategic acumen allowed him to rebuild and reorganize his forces. Recognizing the importance of robust alliances, Bernhard allied with France, receiving substantial financial and military support. This alliance allowed him to continue his campaigns against the imperial forces and maintain a formidable presence on the battlefield. The support from France was pivotal in sustaining his military efforts and provided the resources needed to recruit and equip his troops. The capture of Breisach in 1638 was a testament to Bernhard of Saxe-Weimar's strategic prowess and the effectiveness of his army in siege warfare. Breisach, a heavily fortified town located on the banks of the Rhine River, was of immense strategic importance. Controlling Breisach meant having a crucial crossing point over the Rhine, facilitating further military operations into the heart of Habsburg-controlled territories. Bernhard's forces laid siege to Breisach in the late summer of 1638. The town was well defended, with robust fortifications and a garrison determined to resist the Protestant forces. Bernhard, understanding the importance of the town, committed substantial resources to the siege. He meticulously planned the assault, utilizing his army's expertise in siege tactics. This included the construction of extensive siege works, trenches, and artillery emplacements designed to weaken the town's defenses systematically. The siege was characterized by intense and prolonged fighting. Bernhard's artillery relentlessly bombarded the town's walls, gradually breaching its defenses. His troops, trained in the art of siege warfare, executed coordinated assaults on the breaches, steadily gaining ground despite fierce resistance from the defenders. The battle for Breisach was not just a test of military strength, but also of endurance and determination. The harsh winter conditions added to the challenges, with both sides suffering from supply shortages and disease. One of the critical factors in the successful capture of Breisach was Bernhard's ability to maintain high morale and discipline among his troops throughout the arduous siege. His leadership inspired confidence, and his tactical decisions ensured that each assault was carefully planned and executed. He also employed psychological tactics, such as spreading disinformation and conducting surprise night attacks, to demoralize the defenders and create confusion within their ranks. After several months of relentless siege operations, Breisach's defenses were finally overwhelmed. The town capitulated in December 1638, marking a significant victory for Bernhard and the Protestant forces. The fall of Breisach was a turning point in the war, as it not only provided a strategic crossing over the Rhine, but also delivered a severe blow to the Habsburgs' control over the region. The capture of Breisach enabled further Protestant advances into enemy territory, disrupting Habsburg supply lines and communications. The victory at Breisach significantly bolstered Bernhard's reputation as a military leader. It demonstrated his capability to conduct complex siege operations successfully and achieve strategic objectives despite formidable challenges. The success also enhanced his standing among his allies, particularly France, which had provided substantial support for his campaigns. The capture of Breisach underscored the importance of siege warfare in the 30 Years' War and highlighted Bernhard's role as a key figure in the Protestant military efforts. Bernhard's strategic foresight, effective leadership, and the resilience of his army in capturing Breisach played a crucial role in shaping the course of the war, underscoring the significant impact of well-executed siege operations on the broader conflict. The financial backing from France was instrumental in maintaining the army's operational capacity. Bernhard's ability to maintain discipline and morale among his troops, even in the face of these challenges, was a testament to his leadership skills. Bernhard of Saxe-Weimar's army had left an indelible mark on the 30 Years' War. His efforts helped to sustain the Protestant cause during critical periods of the war. Bernhard's ambition to establish a principality for himself was partially realized with the creation of the Duchy of Franconia, although his untimely death in 1639 prevented him from fully consolidating his gains. Bernhard's legacy is characterized by his tactical innovations, his ability to forge strategic alliances, and his unwavering commitment to his cause. His contributions to the 30 Years' War underscored the importance of adaptable and resilient military leadership in shaping the course of European conflict. Bernhard's strategic foresight, particularly in recognizing the importance of alliances and his expertise in siege warfare, influenced military strategies and highlighted the critical role of effective leadership in warfare. Croats. The Croats were one of the most sought-after light cavalry forces in Central Europe, known for their speed, agility, and effectiveness in raiding and skirmishing. Initially organized as irregular units in bands, the first regular Croat regiment was established in 1625 by Hector Ludwig Isolani, a military officer in the service of Albrecht von Wallenstein. At the height of the 30 Years' War, as many as 20,000 Croatian cavalry were in the service of the Imperial Army, including the majority of Wallenstein's Hakkapeliitta. The term Croats came to be used as a generic term for light cavalry from the Habsburg military frontier, rather than an ethnic designation, encompassing Croats, Hungarians, Wallachians, Poles, Cossacks, Albanians, and Tatars. Recruited to fight for the Catholic League and the Habsburgs against the Protestant forces, the Croats were motivated by economic necessity and the opportunity to gain wealth through plunder. The economically challenged regions of Croatia made mercenary service an attractive option for many young men. Renowned for their irregular warfare tactics, they were valuable assets in the fluid and chaotic nature of the 30 Years' War. Their ability to execute rapid maneuvers and surprise attacks made them indispensable on the battlefield. These light cavalry units specialized in hit-and-run tactics, raids, and skirmishes, often disrupting enemy supply lines and communication. Their swift and unpredictable attacks caused confusion and fear among their enemies, giving the Catholic forces a strategic advantage. One of the early significant engagements involving the Croats was the Battle of White Mountain in 1620. Fighting for the Catholic League, they played a crucial role in the decisive victory over the Protestant forces of Frederick V. Their mobility and raiding tactics disrupted the Protestant lines, contributing significantly to the Catholic victory. This battle marked a turning point in the war, and the Croats' involvement was instrumental in securing the outcome. The Battle of White Mountain took place on November 8, 1620, near Prague. It was a pivotal battle that saw the forces of the Catholic League, commanded by Johann Tsercles, Count of Tilly, and the Imperial Army under Charles Bonaventure de Longueville, Count of Bucquoy, face off against the Protestant forces led by Christian of Anhalt for Frederick V, the Elector Palatine and King of Bohemia. The battle was a culmination of rising tensions between Catholic and Protestant states within the Holy Roman Empire. The Croats, renowned for their light cavalry tactics, were positioned on the flanks of the Catholic forces. Their role was to exploit their mobility and speed to harass and disrupt the Protestant lines. As the battle commenced, the Croats executed a series of rapid maneuvers and raids that targeted the vulnerable flanks and rear of the Protestant army. Their actions created chaos and confusion among the Protestant troops, who were already grappling with the challenging terrain and the well-prepared Catholic defensive positions. Using their expertise in irregular warfare, the Croats carried out hit-and-run attacks, cutting down any isolated groups of Protestant soldiers and disrupting their supply lines. These tactics not only inflicted significant casualties on the Protestant forces, but also eroded their morale. The Croats' ability to strike quickly and then retreat before the Protestant forces could mount an effective counterattack made them a constant threat on the battlefield. The psychological impact of the Croats' presence cannot be overstated. Their reputation for ferocity and their distinctive appearance, often adorned in colourful and exotic attire, added to the fear they inspired in their enemies. As the Protestant lines began to falter under the relentless pressure from the Croats and the main Catholic forces, the cohesion of Frederick V's army disintegrated. At a critical moment in the battle, the Croats launched a concentrated attack on the Protestant artillery positions. This move was pivotal, as it neutralized one of the key advantages the Protestant forces held. With their artillery silenced and their flanks collapsing under the Croats' assault, the Protestant troops began to retreat in disarray. The Catholic forces seized the opportunity to launch a full-scale assault, leading to a rout of the Protestant army. The Croats' role in the Battle of White Mountain was instrumental, not only in terms of their direct combat contributions, but also in their ability to destabilize and demoralize the Protestant forces. Their effective use of mobility and raiding tactics exemplified the advantages of light cavalry in early modern warfare. The victory at White Mountain had far-reaching consequences, solidifying Habsburg control over Bohemia and marking the beginning of a prolonged period of Catholic dominance in the early phases of the 30 Years' War. This battle demonstrated the importance of versatile and mobile units like the Croats in achieving strategic objectives. Their success at White Mountain set a precedent for their continued use in subsequent campaigns, where their skills in irregular warfare and their ability to adapt to various combat situations continued to be valuable assets for the Catholic forces. Throughout the war, the Croats participated in numerous other battles and campaigns. They were also involved in the infamous siege of Magdeburg in 1631, where their brutal tactics and raiding contributed to the city's eventual fall and the subsequent massacre of its inhabitants. The Croats were notorious for their ferocity and ability to operate independently, making them a feared and respected force on the battlefield. Their actions during the sack of Magdeburg were particularly brutal, as they committed numerous atrocities during the sacking of the city, which left a lasting impact on the collective memory of the conflict. Notable leaders among the Croats included figures like Nikola Zrinski and Peter Zrinski, who were part of the prominent Zrinski family. Nikola Zrinski, in particular, was renowned for his leadership and military skills. He led several successful campaigns against the Ottoman Empire and played a crucial role in the defense of the Habsburg monarchy. His brother, Peter Zrinski, was also a significant military leader who contributed to the Croatian efforts in the 30 Years' War. Due to their reputation for brutality, they were often excluded from the conventions of war, such as prisoner exchanges. This extra-legal status meant that captured Croats were often killed or subjected to harsh treatment. Nevertheless, they remained a formidable force. Their loyalty to the Catholic cause was reinforced by the promise of plunder and the support of the Habsburg monarchy. The Croats' ability to adapt to the changing nature of the war and their resilience in the face of adversity ensured their continued presence in the conflict. The influence of the Croat military unit was so strong that between 1631 and 1638, similar units were established in Bavaria, Spain, and France. By the end of 1633, the Croats began their service in the army of the Kingdom of France. In eastern France, the population compared all invasions after the 30 Years' War with stories about Croats and Swedes who ravaged their territory in the 1630s. At the beginning of the 20th century, mothers still scared their children with tales about the 1631 sack of Magdeburg in which Croats took part. The enduring fear and respect for the Croats underscored their formidable presence and lasting impact on European military history. Finnish Hakkapeliitta. The Finnish Hakkapeliitta were another renowned light cavalry unit in the 30 Years' War, distinguished by their fierce cavalry charges and effectiveness in battle. Originating from Finland, these cavalry troops were integral to the Swedish army, under the leadership of King Gustavus Adolphus. They played a crucial role in the Protestant military efforts during the war. The Hakkapeliitta were recruited by the Swedish crown, driven by economic necessity and loyalty to the Swedish king. The harsh conditions and limited opportunities in Finland made mercenary service appealing to many young Finnish men. Known for their aggressive tactics, the Hakkapeliitta executed quick and decisive cavalry charges, which could break enemy lines and create chaos on the battlefield. They were equipped with broadswords, wheellock pistols, and light armor, enabling them to perform effectively in various combat scenarios. One of their early notable engagements was the Battle of Breitenfeld in 1631, where they played a pivotal role in the decisive victory over the imperial forces. Their aggressive charges and ability to exploit weaknesses in the enemy lines were crucial in securing the Protestant victory. The Battle of Breitenfeld marked a turning point in the war, highlighting the importance of the Hakkapeliitta in the Swedish military strategy. Throughout the war, the Hakkapeliitta took part in numerous battles and campaigns. They also fought in the Battle of Lutzen in 1632, where their fierce charges helped maintain the front lines despite the death of King Gustavus Adolphus. Their bravery and battlefield effectiveness were widely recognized, solidifying their reputation as formidable cavalry troops. They also participated in battles such as Nördlingen in 1634 and Jankau in 1645, showcasing their resilience and combat prowess. The Hakkapeliitta faced significant challenges, including harsh conditions, disease, and the constant threat of death in battle. Despite these hardships, they remained a powerful force, adapting to the changing dynamics of the war and maintaining their commitment to the Swedish crown and the Protestant cause. Their ability to execute rapid and devastating charges made them a feared and respected unit on the battlefield. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Hakkapeliitta had endured heavy casualties, with many soldiers lost in battle or to disease. The survivors returned to Finland, often facing a harsh reality of limited resources and recognition for their efforts. The Peace of Westphalia signified the end of large-scale mercenary armies, including the Hakkapeliitta. Despite these challenges, the legacy of the Hakkapeliitta endures as a testament to their exceptional combat skills and their crucial role in the Swedish military campaigns. Their contributions during the war exemplify the effectiveness of light cavalry in early modern European conflicts, leaving an indelible mark on military history and shaping future cavalry tactics in the region. Walloon Mercenaries. The Walloon Mercenaries from the Spanish Netherlands, present-day Belgium, were among the most diverse groups of soldiers who fought in the 30 Years' War. Known for their loyalty and military skill, these mercenaries primarily supported the Catholic forces, particularly the Spanish Habsburgs and the Catholic League. The Walloons were motivated by a combination of economic incentives and religious allegiance. The Walloon Mercenaries were recruited by the Catholic powers to fight against the Protestant forces in the Holy Roman Empire. Many Walloons were devout Catholics, and their participation in the war was partly driven by their desire to defend their faith. Additionally, the promise of regular pay and the opportunity to gain wealth through plunder attracted many young men to join the mercenary ranks. The Walloons were known for their effectiveness in both infantry and cavalry roles, making them versatile and valuable soldiers. One of the early significant engagements involving Walloon mercenaries was the Battle of White Mountain in 1620. Fighting for the Catholic League, the Walloons played a crucial role in the decisive victory over the Protestant forces of Frederick V. The Battle of White Mountain, which took place near Prague on November 8, 1620, was crucial for the Catholic League. The Walloon Mercenaries, with their well-organized infantry and cavalry units, were tasked with critical roles on the battlefield. Positioned strategically to exploit their discipline and combat skills, they launched coordinated attacks that disrupted the Protestant lines. Their aggressive tactics and effective use of cavalry charges broke the morale of the Protestant forces, contributing significantly to the Catholic victory. The success at White Mountain solidified the Walloons' reputation as formidable fighters and reliable allies. Throughout the war, Walloon mercenaries continued to fight in numerous battles and campaigns. They were involved in the Siege of Magdeburg in 1631, a brutal and bloody conflict that resulted in the city's fall and the massacre of its inhabitants. The Walloons' reputation for discipline and effectiveness in combat made them valuable assets to the Catholic forces. Their loyalty to their employers and their ability to operate in various roles ensured their continued presence in the conflict. In the final years of the conflict, the Walloon mercenaries continued to demonstrate their military prowess in several key battles. Their involvement in the Battle of Nördlingen in 1634, where they fought alongside Spanish forces, was particularly notable. The battle resulted in a significant defeat for the Swedish Protestant army and bolstered the Catholic position in the war. Despite these successes, the Walloons faced the harsh realities of prolonged warfare, including dwindling resources and increasing casualties. The conclusion of the 30 Years' War in 1648, marked by the Peace of Westphalia, brought an end to many of the mercenary activities in Europe. The Walloon mercenaries, having endured heavy losses throughout the conflict, began to disband. While many returned to their homeland with little material gain, their contributions to the war had lasting impacts. The discipline and tactical skills they displayed influenced military strategies and highlighted the importance of versatile and committed troops in early modern European warfare. Ultimately, the Walloon mercenaries left a significant legacy. Their service during the 30 Years' War demonstrated the critical role that well-trained and adaptable mercenary forces could play in major conflicts. Their experiences underscored the broader shifts in military organization and the eventual transition towards more structured and professional standing armies in Europe. The Walloons' dedication and effectiveness in battle remain a testament to their enduring influence on military history. Italian Condottieri. The Italian Condottieri were seasoned mercenary leaders and their troops who participated in the 30 Years' War. The tradition of Condottieri, professional military leaders who sold their services to the highest bidder, dated back to the late Middle Ages and the Renaissance. By the time of the 30 Years' War, many Italian condottieri had established reputations as skilled commanders and their troops as reliable fighters. The condottieri were motivated by the promise of wealth and prestige. Italy, fragmented into various city-states and principalities, had a long history of mercenary service. The condottieri and their troops offered their services to both Protestant and Catholic forces during the war, depending on who could afford to pay them. Their involvement in the war was driven by economic incentives and the opportunity to gain fame and fortune through military success. One of the notable condottieri during the 30 Years' War was Raimondo Montecuccoli, who served the Holy Roman Emperor and the Catholic League. Montecuccoli, a member of a noble Italian family, brought his expertise in military strategy and command to the Catholic forces. His leadership and tactical acumen were highly regarded, and he played a significant role in several key battles throughout the war. The Italian condottieri and their troops were involved in numerous battles and campaigns during the 30 Years' War. They participated in the Siege of Mantua in 1630, where their experience in siege warfare proved invaluable. The condottieri's ability to organize and lead their troops in complex military operations made them essential to their employers. Their presence on the battlefield often boosted the morale of their allies and struck fear into their enemies. Despite their effectiveness, the harsh conditions and frequent lack of pay took a toll on their ranks. Many condottieri and their troops succumbed to disease, and some deserted due to the hardships they faced. Despite these challenges, the condottieri remained a formidable force, adapting to the changing dynamics of the war and continuing to provide valuable military services. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Italian Condottieri had experienced significant changes. While the Peace of Westphalia marked the decline of mercenary armies, it also highlighted the transition to professional standing armies. Many Condottieri returned to Italy, where some took up administrative or advisory roles, leveraging their battlefield experience in the evolving landscape of European military strategy. Raimondo Montecuccoli, for example, continued his military career, eventually becoming a renowned field marshal and a key figure in shaping the modern principles of European warfare. Dutch Mercenaries. Dutch mercenaries were among the many groups who offered soldiers for hire and played significant roles in the 30 Years' War. The Dutch Republic, engaged in its own 80 Years' War against Spanish rule, had a well-established tradition of employing and training mercenaries. These experienced soldiers brought valuable military skills and expertise to the Protestant forces during the 30 Years' War. The Dutch mercenaries were primarily motivated by economic incentives and the opportunity to fight for the Protestant cause. Many Dutch soldiers saw the war as an extension of their struggle against Spanish Catholic domination. The mercenaries from the Netherlands were known for their expertise in siege warfare, naval operations, and innovative military tactics. Their involvement in the 30 Years' War was driven by the promise of steady pay and the chance to gain experience and prestige in battle. One of the notable contributions of Dutch mercenaries was their participation in the Battle of Breitenfeld in 1631. Fighting alongside the Swedish army under King Gustavus Adolphus, the Dutch mercenaries played a crucial role in the Protestant victory. Their disciplined formations and effective use of firearms and artillery helped to break the imperial lines and secure the battlefield. The Battle of Breitenfeld marked a turning point in the war, and the Dutch mercenaries' involvement was instrumental in the outcome. Throughout the war, Dutch mercenaries were involved in various battles and campaigns. They played a significant role in the Siege of Magdeburg in 1631, where their specialized siege tactics contributed to the city's eventual fall. The Dutch soldiers' proficiency in building fortifications and conducting siege operations made them indispensable to the Protestant forces. Their adaptability to diverse combat scenarios and their persistence in facing adversities ensured their ongoing engagement in the conflict. The Dutch mercenaries confronted numerous hardships during the war, including severe weather, rampant diseases, and the unending threat of battle fatalities. Despite these difficulties, they remained steadfast in their mission. Their unwavering loyalty to the Protestant cause and their resolve to resist Catholic domination sustained their participation in the war. The Dutch mercenaries' skill in adjusting to the war's evolving demands and their tenacity under challenging conditions earned them respect and fear on the battlefield. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Dutch mercenaries had endured significant casualties. Many soldiers perished in battle or from disease, and those who survived often returned to the Netherlands with scant rewards for their sacrifices. The Peace of Westphalia marked the conclusion of the conflict and signaled a transformation in European warfare. The emergence of professional standing armies began to overshadow the role of mercenaries. Despite their diminished influence, the Dutch mercenaries' contributions to the Protestant cause left an enduring legacy. Their proficiency in military tactics and siege warfare continued to shape European military practices for years to come. French Huguenots. The French Huguenots, a Protestant group primarily from France, played a significant role in the 30 Years' War. Known for their strong Calvinist faith and military prowess, the Huguenots were instrumental in several key battles and campaigns, often aligning themselves with other Protestant forces to counter the Catholic Habsburg threat. Facing severe persecution in Catholic-dominated France, many Huguenot soldiers were motivated by a desire to protect and spread their faith, as well as to seek refuge from the hostilities they faced at home. Recruited by Protestant leaders who valued their combat experience and dedication, they found support from Protestant powers such as Sweden and the Dutch Republic, which provided them with resources and opportunities to fight against their common Catholic enemies. One of the significant early engagements involving the Huguenots was the Siege of La Rochelle 1627 to 1628. Although this siege occurred before the main phase of the 30 Years' War, It exemplified the Huguenot struggle against Catholic forces. Defending the Protestant stronghold of La Rochelle, the Huguenots faced a brutal siege by the French Royal Army under Cardinal Richelieu. Despite their eventual surrender, the siege demonstrated the Huguenots' resilience and determination. During the 30 Years' War, the Huguenots formed alliances with other Protestant powers. Their involvement in these alliances was crucial in battles, such as the Battle of Breitenfeld in 1631 and the Battle of Lutzen in 1632. In these engagements, Huguenot soldiers fought alongside Swedish forces led by King Gustavus Adolphus, contributing significantly to the Protestant victories. Their disciplined infantry and cavalry units were instrumental in executing the strategies devised by the Swedish king. Another notable engagement was the Battle of Rocroi in 1643, where the Huguenots, now fighting for the French crown under Louis XIII, played a pivotal role in defeating the Spanish forces. This battle marked a significant shift in the balance of power in Europe, showcasing the effectiveness of the Huguenot troops in conventional military engagements. The Battle of Rocroi, fought on May 19, 1643, near the town of Rocroi in northern France, was a decisive victory for the French army against the Spanish. Commanded by the young Duke of Enghien, later known as the Grand Condé, the French forces included a significant contingent of Huguenot soldiers who played a crucial role in the battle's outcome. The Spanish army, under the command of Francisco de Milo, was considered one of the most formidable military forces in Europe, renowned for its disciplined infantry, the Tercios. The battle began with a French attack on the Spanish flanks, aiming to exploit the weaknesses in their rigid formations. The Huguenot cavalry, known for their aggressive and swift charges, were instrumental in this initial assault. They successfully disrupted the Spanish lines, causing confusion and breaking their cohesion. Despite fierce resistance, the Huguenots' relentless pressure forced the Spanish flanks to collapse, creating openings for the French infantry to advance. As the battle progressed, the center of the Spanish formation, composed of the elite Tercios, held firm against the French attacks. The Huguenots, alongside other French units, engaged in brutal close-quarters combat, gradually wearing down the Spanish defenses. The turning point came when the French reserve cavalry, led by the Duke of Enghien himself, launched a decisive charge that shattered the remaining Spanish resistance. The disciplined and coordinated efforts of the Huguenots were crucial in this final phase of the battle, ensuring a comprehensive French victory. The Battle of Rocroi resulted in heavy casualties for the Spanish, with thousands of soldiers killed, wounded, or captured. The French losses were also significant, but the victory had far-reaching consequences. It marked the end of Spanish military dominance in Europe and the rise of France as a major military power. The effectiveness of the Huguenot troops in this battle highlighted their importance within the French army and their contribution to the broader Protestant cause in the 30 Years' War. Throughout the war, the Huguenots faced numerous challenges, including persecution, limited resources, and the harsh realities of prolonged military campaigns. Despite these difficulties, their strong religious conviction and military discipline allowed them to adapt and persevere. The support from their Protestant allies, particularly Sweden and the Dutch Republic, was instrumental in maintaining their operational capacity and morale. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Huguenots had made a lasting impact on the conflict. Their contributions to key battles and their alliances with major Protestant powers significantly influenced the course of the war. The Peace of Westphalia, which ended the 30 Years' War, did not fully resolve the Huguenot struggles, but it provided a framework for religious tolerance in Europe. Despite the continued persecution they faced in France, culminating in the revocation of the Edict of Nantes in 1685, the legacy of the Huguenots endured. Their military contributions during the 30 Years' War exemplified their commitment to their faith and their resilience in the face of adversity. The experiences and sacrifices of the Huguenots during this period left a profound mark on European history, influencing future religious and military dynamics in the region. Cossacks. The Cossacks, a semi-nomadic warrior community from Eastern Europe, were among the diverse groups involved in the 30 Years' War. The Cossacks were known for their exceptional skills in cavalry warfare, their fierce independence, and their distinctive culture. originating primarily from the regions around the Dnieper River. The Cossacks were sought after as mercenaries by various European powers due to their reputation as formidable fighters. The Cossacks were primarily motivated by the promise of plunder and the opportunity to gain wealth through military service. Many Cossacks saw the war as an opportunity to gain wealth and to assert their independence. The Cossacks' involvement in the 30 Years' War was driven by economic incentives and their desire to support their allies. The Cossacks were known for their expertise in cavalry tactics, particularly their ability to conduct raids and skirmishes with great effectiveness. One of the notable contributions of the Cossacks was their participation in the campaigns of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. The Cossacks were allied with the Commonwealth and provided valuable military support in their battles against the Habsburg forces. Their ability to conduct rapid and devastating raids made them a valuable asset to their allies. The Cossacks' involvement in the war demonstrated their importance as mercenaries and their ability to adapt to different combat situations. Throughout the war, the Cossacks fought in numerous battles and campaigns. They played a significant role in the Siege of Vienna in 1629, where their expertise in cavalry tactics helped to harass and disrupt the Habsburg forces. The Cossacks' ability to operate independently and their effectiveness in raiding and skirmishing made them valuable assets to both Protestant and Catholic forces. Their presence on the battlefield often boosted the morale of their allies and struck fear into their enemies. The Cossacks encountered significant challenges during the war, including harsh conditions, disease, and the constant threat of death in battle. Despite these hardships, they remained a formidable force, adapting to the changing dynamics of the war and maintaining their commitment to their allies. Their ability to execute rapid and devastating cavalry raids made them a feared and respected unit on the battlefield. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Cossacks had endured heavy casualties. Many soldiers had died in battle or from disease, and those who survived often returned to their homeland with little to show for their efforts. The Peace of Westphalia brought an end to the conflict and marked a shift in the nature of European warfare. The rise of professional standing armies began to eclipse the role of mercenaries. Despite the decline of their influence, the Cossacks' contributions to the war left a lasting legacy. Their expertise in cavalry tactics and their bravery in battle continued to influence European military traditions for years to come. Swiss mercenaries. Swiss mercenaries were highly sought after due to their reputation for discipline, effectiveness in combat, and their well-organized pike and halberd formations. The Swiss had a long history of mercenary service dating back to the late Middle Ages, and their services were contracted by many European powers during the 30 Years' War. These mercenaries were known for their strict training, loyalty to their employers, and formidable battlefield presence. The Swiss mercenaries were predominantly Protestant, and they primarily supported the Protestant factions during the 30 Years' War. However, due to their mercenary nature, they were also hired by Catholic forces when the opportunity arose. Their involvement in the war was motivated by economic necessity and the promise of lucrative pay. The mountainous regions of Switzerland had limited resources and opportunities, driving many young men to seek employment as soldiers for hire. Swiss mercenaries played a significant role in several key battles during the 30 Years' War. One of their early notable engagements was the Battle of White Mountain in 1620, where they fought for the Protestant forces. Despite their valiant efforts, the Protestant army was defeated by the Catholic League, leading to a shift in the war's momentum in favor of the Catholics. The Swiss soldiers' discipline and fighting skills were highly regarded, even in defeat. The Swiss were also involved in the Battle of Breitenfeld in 1631, fighting alongside the Swedish army under King Gustavus Adolphus. This battle was a significant Protestant victory and marked a turning point in the war. The Swiss mercenaries' role in the battle was crucial, as their disciplined pike formations helped hold the line against the imperial forces. Their contributions to the Protestant cause in this battle were widely recognized and celebrated. Throughout the conflict, Swiss mercenaries participated in a variety of battles and military campaigns. Their involvement in the Siege of Magdeburg in 1631 highlighted their expertise in siege tactics. They were adept at constructing fortifications and executing effective siege operations, making them invaluable to the Protestant forces. Their resilience and ability to adapt to various combat situations ensured their continued presence in the war. The Swiss mercenaries confronted significant difficulties during the war, including severe conditions, rampant diseases, and the constant danger of combat. Despite these challenges, they remained a steadfast force, showing unwavering commitment to their mission. Their dedication to the Protestant cause and their ability to navigate the evolving conflict dynamics earned them both respect and fear on the battlefield. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, Swiss mercenaries had suffered extensive casualties. Many soldiers had perished in combat or from disease, and those who survived often returned to Switzerland with little recognition for their efforts. The Peace of Westphalia marked the conclusion of the conflict and a transition in European warfare. The emergence of professional standing armies began to reduce the reliance on mercenary forces. Despite their diminished role, the Swiss mercenaries' impact on the Protestant cause left a lasting legacy. Their proficiency in military tactics and siege warfare continued to shape European military practices for years to come. Polish Lisowczycy. The Polish Lisowczycy, originating from Poland, were irregular cavalry units known for their speed, agility, and effectiveness in raiding and skirmishing. The Lisowczycy primarily supported the Catholic forces, particularly the Habsburg monarchy, due to their historical ties and the promise of regular pay and plunder. The Lisowczycy were recruited to fight for the Catholic League and the Habsburgs against the Protestant forces. Their involvement in the war was motivated by economic necessity and the opportunity to gain wealth through plunder. The rugged and economically challenged regions of Poland made mercenary service an attractive option for many young men. The Lisowczycy were renowned for their irregular warfare tactics, which made them valuable assets in the fluid and chaotic nature of the 30 Years' War. One of the early significant engagements involving the Lisowczycy was the Battle of White Mountain in 1620. Fighting for the Catholic League, the Lisowczycy played a crucial role in the decisive victory over the Protestant forces of Frederick V. Their mobility and raiding tactics disrupted the Protestant lines, contributing to the Catholic victory. The Battle of White Mountain marked a turning point in the war, and the Lisowczycy's involvement was instrumental in securing the outcome. Throughout the conflict, the Lisowczycy engaged in numerous battles and campaigns. Their proficiency in raiding and reconnaissance operations made them invaluable to the Catholic forces. They took part in the Siege of Magdeburg in 1631, where their brutal tactics and raids contributed to the city's fall and the massacre of its inhabitants. The Lisowczycy's ferocity and independent operation made them a feared and respected force on the battlefield. The Lisowczycy encountered significant challenges during the war, including harsh conditions, disease, and the constant threat of death in battle. Despite these adversities, they remained a powerful force. Their loyalty to the Catholic cause was bolstered by the promise of plunder and the backing of the Habsburg monarchy. The Lisowczycy's ability to adapt to the evolving nature of the conflict and their resilience in the face of hardships ensured their continued participation in the war. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Lisowczycy had suffered heavy losses. Many soldiers had perished in battle or from disease, and those who survived often returned to their homeland with little to show for their efforts. The Peace of Westphalia marked the end of the conflict and led to the decline of the Lisowczycy's role as mercenaries. Despite the difficulties they faced, the Lisowczycy's contributions to the Catholic cause left a lasting legacy. Their involvement in the war highlighted the significance of light cavalry and irregular warfare tactics in early modern European conflicts. Spanish Tercios. One of the most elite units involved in the 30 Years' War, the Spanish Tercios were composed of both Spanish soldiers and mercenaries from various regions. Known for their discipline, formidable pike and shot formations, and battlefield effectiveness, the Tercios primarily supported the Catholic forces, particularly the Habsburg monarchy, due to their historical ties and religious allegiance. The Spanish Tercios were motivated by a combination of religious fervor and the promise of steady pay. Their involvement in the war was driven by their loyalty to the Catholic cause and the opportunity to gain wealth through military service. Renowned for their expertise in infantry tactics, the Tercios were valuable assets in the protracted and complex nature of the 30 Years' War. One of the early significant engagements involving the Spanish Tercios was the Battle of White Mountain in 1620. Fighting for the Catholic League, the Tercios played a crucial role in the decisive victory over the Protestant forces of Frederick V. Their disciplined formations and aggressive tactics were instrumental in securing the Catholic victory, which marked a turning point in the war. The involvement of the Tercios in this battle demonstrated their importance to the Catholic military efforts. The Tercios continued to display their prowess in the Siege of Breda. Led by Ambrogio Spinola, a skilled general in the service of the Spanish crown, the siege exemplified the Tercios' mastery of siege warfare. Breda, a well-fortified Dutch city, was a strategic target due to its location and symbolic value. Spinola meticulously planned the siege, constructing extensive siege works to encircle the city and cut off supplies. The Tercios played a crucial role in these operations, demonstrating their expertise in building fortifications and trenches to gradually tighten the noose around Breda. The siege began in August 1624 and was marked by a combination of traditional siege tactics and innovative engineering. Spinola's forces, including the Tercios, constructed a network of trenches, redoubts, and artillery positions that slowly constricted the city's defenders. The Spanish employed sappers to dig tunnels and place mines beneath Breda's walls, causing significant breaches and weakening the city's fortifications. Despite facing harsh winter conditions and supply shortages, the Tercios maintained their pressure, showcasing their resilience and adaptability. The defenders of Breda, led by Justin of Nassau, mounted a determined resistance. However, the relentless bombardment and the strategic use of siege works by the Tercios eventually took their toll. The Spanish forces conducted several successful assaults, exploiting the breaches created by their artillery. The Habsburgs' ability to maintain a continuous and effective siege was a testament to the discipline and coordination of the Tercios and their supporting units. After several months of relentless siege operations, Breda capitulated in June 1625. The fall of Breda was a significant victory for the Spanish Habsburgs, bolstering their control over the southern Netherlands and delivering a blow to the Dutch resistance. The capture of Breda not only provided a strategic crossing over the Rhine, but also opened a route for further advances into Habsburg territory. Another crucial engagement was the Battle of Nördlingen in 1634, where the Tercios played a significant role in securing a major victory for the Catholic forces. Their disciplined infantry tactics and ability to hold firm against enemy assaults were critical in turning the tide of the battle. This victory marked a significant setback for the Protestant forces and highlighted the strategic importance of the Tercios in the broader conflict. Throughout the war, the Spanish Tercios participated in various battles and campaigns. They endured the siege of Magdeburg in 1631, where their tactics and fortifications played a key role in the eventual fall of the city. The Tercios' ability to maintain discipline and coordination under prolonged pressure demonstrated their value to the Catholic cause and their ability to adapt to different combat scenarios. The Spanish Tercios faced numerous challenges during the war, including harsh conditions, widespread diseases, and the constant threat of death in battle. Despite these adversities, they remained a powerful force. Their loyalty to the Catholic cause was bolstered by their religious commitment and the support of the Habsburg monarchy. The Tercios' ability to adapt to the evolving nature of the conflict and their resilience in the face of hardships ensured their continued participation in the war. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Spanish Tercios had suffered extensive casualties. Many soldiers had perished in combat or from disease, and those who survived often returned to Spain with little recognition for their efforts. The Peace of Westphalia marked the conclusion of the conflict and a transition in European warfare. The emergence of professional standing armies began to reduce the reliance on mercenary forces. Despite their diminished role, the Spanish Tercios' impact on the Catholic cause left a lasting legacy. Their proficiency in military tactics and siege warfare continued to shape European military practices for years to come. In summary, the Spanish Tercios' involvement in the 30 Years' War was marked by their disciplined formations, tactical expertise, and unwavering commitment to the Catholic cause. Their contributions in key battles and sieges, such as the Battle of White Mountain and the Siege of Breda, played a crucial role in shaping the outcome of the conflict. Despite the challenges they faced, the legacy of the Tercios endures, influencing military tactics and strategies in Europe long after the war ended. Danish Mercenaries. Danish mercenaries were yet another diverse group of soldiers who played significant roles in the 30 Years' War. Denmark, under King Christian IV, was initially an active participant in the conflict, seeking to support the Protestant cause and to expand Danish influence in the Holy Roman Empire. Danish mercenaries, along with regular Danish troops, were motivated by economic incentives and the promise of steady pay. The Danish mercenaries were recruited to fight for both Protestant and Catholic forces during the war, depending on the circumstances and the availability of employment. Their involvement in the war was driven by economic necessity and the opportunity to gain wealth through plunder. The mercenaries from Denmark were known for their fighting skills and adaptability, honed by their experiences in previous conflicts. Their presence on the battlefield added a diverse and unpredictable element to the war, as they could switch sides depending on the circumstances. One of the notable contributions of Danish mercenaries was their participation in the Battle of Lutter in 1626. Fighting for the Protestant forces under King Christian IV, the Danish mercenaries played a crucial role in the battle. Despite their efforts, the Protestant army was defeated by the Catholic forces under Count Tilly, leading to a shift in the war's momentum in favor of the Catholics. The involvement of the Danish mercenaries in this battle demonstrated their importance to the Protestant military efforts. Throughout the conflict, Danish mercenaries took part in numerous battles and campaigns. Their involvement in the Siege of Magdeburg in 1631 showcased their expertise in siege warfare. The Danish soldiers' proficiency in building fortifications and conducting siege operations made them valuable assets to both Protestant and Catholic forces. Their resilience and ability to adapt to various combat situations ensured their continued engagement in the war. Danish mercenaries faced significant hardships during the war, including severe conditions, disease, and the constant danger of battle. Despite these adversities, they remained a formidable force. Their commitment to their employers and their determination to fight ensured their ongoing participation in the war. The Danish mercenaries' capacity to adjust to the evolving conflict and their tenacity under challenging conditions earned them respect and fear on the battlefield. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Danish mercenaries had suffered substantial losses. Many soldiers perished in battle or from disease, and those who survived often returned to Denmark with little recognition for their sacrifices. The Peace of Westphalia marked the conclusion of the conflict and signaled a transition in European warfare. The rise of professional standing armies began to reduce the reliance on mercenary forces. Despite their diminished role, the Danish mercenaries' contributions to the war left a lasting legacy. Their expertise in military tactics and bravery in battle continued to influence European military traditions for years to come. Portuguese Adventurers. Portuguese adventurers were among the lesser-known groups of soldiers involved in the 30 Years' War. These individuals, motivated by a sense of adventure and the promise of wealth, traveled from Portugal to participate in the conflict. The Portuguese adventurers primarily supported both Protestant and Catholic forces, depending on the circumstances and the availability of employment. The Portuguese adventurers were recruited by various European powers to fight in the war. Their involvement was driven by economic necessity and the opportunity to gain wealth through plunder. The adventurers from Portugal were known for their adaptability and willingness to take on various roles in the military. Their presence on the battlefield added a diverse element to the mercenary forces involved in the 30 Years' War. One of the notable contributions of the Portuguese adventurers was their participation in the Battle of Breitenfeld in 1631. Fighting alongside the Swedish army under King Gustavus Adolphus, the Portuguese adventurers played a crucial role in the Protestant victory. Their disciplined formations and effective use of firearms and artillery helped to break the imperial lines and secure the battlefield. The Battle of Breitenfeld marked a turning point in the war, and the Portuguese adventurers' involvement was instrumental in the outcome. Throughout the conflict, Portuguese adventurers continued to fight in numerous battles and campaigns. They were involved in the Siege of Magdeburg in 1631, where their expertise in siege tactics contributed to the city's eventual fall. The Portuguese soldiers' skills in constructing fortifications and conducting siege operations made them valuable assets to both Protestant and Catholic forces. Their ability to adapt to different combat situations and their resilience in the face of adversity ensured their continued presence in the conflict. One of the most significant naval engagements involving Portuguese adventurers was the Battle of the Downs, took place on October 21st and 22nd, 1639, near the Downs off the coast of England. The Dutch fleet, commanded by Admiral Martin Tromp, engaged the Spanish fleet under Admiral Antonio de Oquendo. The Spanish fleet, consisting of around 70 ships, was attempting to reach the Spanish Netherlands to support military operations there. The Dutch fleet, numbering approximately 90 ships, intercepted them with the aim of preventing their arrival and breaking Spanish naval dominance. The Portuguese adventurers within the Dutch fleet brought valuable skills and experience from previous maritime conflicts, including engagements in the Indian Ocean, the Atlantic, and the Mediterranean. Their knowledge of naval tactics and ship handling contributed significantly to the Dutch strategy during the battle. The engagement began with a series of skirmishes and maneuvers as both fleets vied for advantageous positions. On the first day of battle, the Portuguese adventurers were instrumental in executing bold maneuvers that disrupted the Spanish formation. They utilized their expertise in naval artillery to target key Spanish vessels, causing significant damage and creating confusion within the Spanish ranks. The Dutch fleet, taking advantage of this disruption, launched coordinated attacks that further weakened the Spanish fleet. The following day, the battle intensified as the Dutch pressed their advantage. The Portuguese adventurers played a crucial role in maintaining pressure on the Spanish fleet, preventing them from regrouping and mounting an effective counterattack. The sustained assault by the Dutch, combined with the relentless tactics of the Portuguese adventurers, led to the eventual collapse of the Spanish fleet's cohesion. The Battle of the Downs resulted in a decisive victory for the Dutch. The Spanish fleet suffered heavy losses, with many ships destroyed or captured, and the remaining vessels forced to retreat. This victory was significant in establishing Dutch naval dominance and disrupting Spanish maritime supply lines, which had a substantial impact on the war. The Portuguese adventurers' contribution to this battle demonstrated their critical role in the Dutch success and underscored their importance in the broader conflict. The Portuguese adventurers faced significant challenges during the war, including harsh conditions, disease, and the constant threat of death in battle. Despite these hardships, they remained committed to their cause. Their loyalty to their employers and their determination to fight ensured their continued participation in the war. The Portuguese adventurers' ability to adapt to the changing nature of the conflict and their resilience in the face of adversity made them respected and feared soldiers. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Portuguese adventurers had suffered heavy losses. Many soldiers had died in battle or from disease, and those who survived often returned to their homeland with little to show for their efforts. The Peace of Westphalia brought an end to the conflict and marked a shift in the nature of European warfare. The rise of professional standing armies began to eclipse the role of mercenaries. Despite the decline of their influence, the Portuguese adventurers' contributions to the war left a lasting legacy. Their expertise in military tactics and their bravery in battle continued to influence European military traditions for years to come. Saxon Mercenaries. Saxon mercenaries were among the various groups of soldiers involved in the 30 Years' War, playing crucial roles in the complex and protracted conflict. Originating from the electorate of Saxony, these soldiers were motivated by economic incentives, political allegiances, and the promise of adventure. Saxon mercenaries were known for their military skill, discipline, and adaptability, making them valuable assets to the forces they served. The recruitment of Saxon mercenaries was driven by the dire economic conditions in their homeland, which made military service an attractive option for many young men. The electorate of Saxony, a significant Protestant state within the Holy Roman Empire, had its own political and religious motivations for participating in the war. The Saxon mercenaries were primarily recruited to fight for the Protestant forces, aligning themselves against the Catholic Habsburgs and their allies. However, as with many mercenaries of the period, their loyalty could be swayed by the promise of better pay and conditions. leading them to occasionally serve Catholic interests as well. One of the notable early contributions of Saxon mercenaries was their involvement in the Battle of White Mountain in 1620. Fighting for the Protestant forces under Frederick V, the Saxons played a significant role in the initial stages of the battle. Despite their efforts, the Protestant army was defeated by the Catholic League, marking a turning point in the war. The Saxon mercenaries' involvement in this battle underscored their importance to the Protestant cause. Throughout the war, Saxon mercenaries continued to participate in numerous battles and campaigns. They were involved in the Battle of Lutzen in 1632, where their fighting skills and discipline were crucial in maintaining the Protestant lines against the imperial forces led by Albrecht von Wallenstein. The battle, although inconclusive, saw the death of the Swedish king Gustavus Adolphus, which was a significant blow to the Protestant alliance. The Saxon mercenaries were also adept in siege warfare, contributing significantly to various sieges throughout the conflict. Their expertise in constructing fortifications and conducting siege operations was vital during the siege of Magdeburg in 1631. The fall of Magdeburg was a brutal and bloody affair, with the Saxon mercenaries playing a critical role in the operations that led to the city's capture. Their involvement in such sieges highlighted their versatility and the importance of their engineering skills in early modern warfare. Several notable leaders emerged from the ranks of the Saxon mercenaries during the 30 Years' War. Hans-Georg von Arnim-Boitzenburg was a prominent Saxon military commander who played a crucial role in various engagements. Initially serving the Catholic forces under Wallenstein, Arnim later switched allegiances to the Protestant side, exemplifying the fluid loyalties of mercenaries during the war. His strategic acumen and leadership were instrumental in several key battles, including the Battle of Lutzen. The Saxon mercenaries faced numerous challenges during the war, including harsh conditions, disease, and the constant threat of death in battle. The protracted nature of the conflict placed immense strain on their resources and morale. Despite these hardships, they remained committed to their cause, driven by a combination of loyalty, economic necessity, and the promise of plunder. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Saxon mercenaries had endured significant losses. Many soldiers had died in battle or from disease, and those who survived often returned to their homeland with little to show for their efforts. The Peace of Westphalia marked a shift in the nature of European warfare, with the rise of professional standing armies beginning to eclipse the role of mercenaries. Despite the decline of their influence, the Saxon mercenaries' contributions to the war left a lasting legacy. Their expertise in military tactics and their bravery in battle continue to influence European military traditions for years to come. The involvement of Saxon mercenaries in the 30 Years' War highlights the complex interplay of economic, political, and religious motivations that drove many soldiers to fight in this protracted and devastating conflict. Their participation in key battles and sieges, alongside their adaptability and resilience, underscored the critical role that mercenaries played in shaping the course of the war. Venetian Mercenaries. Venetian mercenaries were an important group of soldiers involved in the 30 Years' War, playing crucial roles in various battles and campaigns. Originating from the Republic of Venice, these soldiers were driven by economic incentives, political motivations, and the promise of adventure. Known for their military skill, naval expertise, and adaptability, Venetian mercenaries were valuable assets to both Protestant and Catholic forces throughout the war. Venetian mercenaries were recruited from the Republic of Venice and its territories, drawing from a diverse pool of soldiers including Italians, Dalmatians, and Greeks. The Republic of Venice, known for its maritime prowess and strategic location, had a long history of military engagement and mercenary service. Economic hardships and the allure of wealth and plunder made military service an attractive option for many young men from Venice. The leadership of Venice saw the 30 Years' War as an opportunity to assert their influence and protect their trade interests in Europe. Venetian mercenaries were involved in several key engagements during the 30 Years' War, providing critical support to both Protestant and Catholic forces. One notable early contribution was their involvement in the Battle of White Mountain in 1620. Fighting for the Catholic League, the Venetian troops played a significant role in the initial stages of the battle, showcasing their discipline and combat skills. Despite the eventual defeat of the Protestant forces, the participation of Venetian mercenaries underscored their importance to the Catholic military efforts. Venetian mercenaries were particularly known for their naval expertise, contributing significantly to various naval campaigns throughout the conflict. Their skills in ship handling, navigation, and maritime combat were highly valued by the warring factions. Venetian ships and sailors were instrumental in protecting trade routes and disrupting enemy supply lines, which had a substantial impact on the war. One significant engagement was the Battle of the Downs in 1639, where Venetian ships supported the Dutch fleet in a decisive victory over the Spanish fleet. The battle saw the Dutch, with Venetian support, decisively defeat the Spanish fleet, establishing naval dominance and disrupting Spanish maritime supply lines. The expertise of Venetian sailors in navigation and naval combat played a crucial role in this victory, demonstrating their strategic importance in the conflict. In addition to their naval contributions, Venetian mercenaries were also adept in siege warfare and land battles. Their expertise in constructing fortifications and conducting siege operations was vital during various sieges throughout the war. One notable example was their involvement in the siege of Magdeburg in 1631. The fall of Magdeburg was a brutal and bloody affair, with Venetian mercenaries playing a critical role in the operations that led to the city's capture. Their involvement in such sieges highlighted their versatility and the importance of their engineering skills in early modern warfare. Several notable leaders emerged from the ranks of the Venetian mercenaries during the 30 Years' War. One such figure was Antonio Priuli, a Venetian noble and military commander who played a significant role in organizing and leading Venetian forces. Priuli's strategic acumen and leadership were instrumental in several key engagements, including naval battles and land campaigns. Another key leader was Giovanni di Vigna, who commanded Venetian ships and soldiers in various naval engagements. His expertise in maritime warfare and his ability to coordinate complex naval operations were critical to the success of several key battles. The Venetian mercenaries faced numerous challenges during the war, including harsh conditions, disease, and the constant threat of death in battle. The protracted nature of the conflict placed immense strain on their resources and morale. Despite these hardships, they remained committed to their cause, driven by a combination of loyalty, economic necessity, and the promise of plunder. By the end of the 30 Years' War in 1648, the Venetian mercenaries had endured significant losses. Many soldiers had died in battle or from disease, and those who survived often returned to their homeland with little to show for their efforts. The Peace of Westphalia marked a shift in the nature of European warfare, with the rise of professional standing armies beginning to eclipse the role of mercenaries. Despite the decline of their influence, the Venetian mercenaries' contributions to the war left a lasting legacy. Their expertise in military tactics, naval warfare, and their bravery in battle continued to influence European military traditions for years to come. The involvement of Venetian mercenaries in the 30 Years' War highlights the complex interplay of economic, political, and religious motivations that drove many soldiers to fight in this protracted and devastating conflict. Their participation in key battles and sieges, alongside their adaptability and resilience, underscored the critical role that mercenaries played in shaping the course of the war. The 30 Years' War was a complex and devastating conflict that reshaped the political and religious landscape of Europe. Spanning from 1618 to 1648, the war involved many of the continent's major powers and drew in countless soldiers from various backgrounds. Among these were numerous mercenary groups, each driven by its own set of motives, including economic gain, religious fervor, and political loyalty. These mercenaries were not just hired guns. They were integral to the war's progression and outcome, playing vital roles in both battlefield victories and strategic maneuvers. Mercenaries from regions such as Austria, Venice, Portugal, and beyond brought diverse skills and experiences to the conflict. Some were seasoned veterans of earlier wars, while others were young men seeking fortune or escaping poverty. The involvement of these mercenaries added a dynamic and unpredictable element to the war, as their allegiances could shift depending on the highest bidder or the most pressing need. Their adaptability, whether in naval engagements, siege warfare, or open battle, made them indispensable assets to the commanders who employed them. The contributions of these mercenary forces were significant in many of the war's key battles, such as the Battle of White Mountain, the Siege of Magdeburg, and the Battle of Breitenfeld. Their disciplined formations, mastery of various combat tactics, and engineering skills in constructing fortifications were crucial in both offensive and defensive operations. Leaders like Albrecht von Wallenstein and Count Johann Tsercles of Tilly relied heavily on mercenaries to execute their strategies and secure victories that would shape the war's trajectory. However, the life of a mercenary during the 30 Years' War was fraught with hardship. These soldiers faced brutal conditions, including disease, scarcity of resources, and the constant threat of death in battle. The protracted nature of the conflict took a toll on their morale and physical well-being. Despite these challenges, many mercenaries remained committed to their cause, driven by loyalty, necessity, and the promise of plunder. Their resilience in the face of adversity highlighted their importance not just as fighters, but as enduring symbols of the era's military ethos. As the war came to an end with the Peace of Westphalia in 1648, the role of mercenaries began to wane, replaced by the emerging trend of professional standing armies. Despite this decline, the legacy of these mercenaries endured, influencing military traditions and strategies for years to come. Their experiences offer a fascinating glimpse into the nature of warfare during this turbulent period, revealing the complexities of a conflict that was as much about personal survival and gain as it was about grand political and religious ideals. The impact of these mercenaries on the 30 Years' War continues to be felt in military history, serving as a reminder of the pivotal role they played in shaping the course of European history. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more in-depth historical documentaries.